Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm excited to talk to you about your new single and your upcoming album. But before that, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passions. I want to know where your passion for music came from that led you on this musical journey.
Um,
Album that you heard, or a certain live performance you saw, or something that was just natural for you as a child.
I've been playing guitar for like 20 years. So far, I'm classically trained in flamenco guitar. So I've been around music and I played cello before that. I play a lot of instruments. So I think the passion for music was kind of always there. I just always played. I've been to a lot of concerts growing up, like, saw Tom Petty, Rolling Stones, um, Heart. I mean, Joe Cocker, a lot of classic rock stuff. My dad likes classic rock, and I do too. So a lot of like older acts that I guess are kind of diminishing out these days, just because of time.
Yeah, well, it's one thing I love about you. I feel like more people are going more to that computer kind of rock sound, and you're keeping like the classic actual instruments in your music, and it shows in the song "Bleed for This."
Yeah, well, that's like one thing that has translated well, but also like
Mhm.
is like a battle with like the modern like because everything's still recorded through Pro Tools with like a
Yeah.
computer, so you got to like battle the modern aspect of that and be like, all right, well, how do I get this to sound? That's a weird thing. How do I get this to sound like
Like it's on
old?
analog tape.
Yeah, which you're never gonna get that sound if it's on a computer. You can tell instantly. Like, so it's kind of like creating like taking inspiration from what was old, but like creating something that's new. So what I kind of like made the compromise decide. I'm like, I'm just gonna go for like I'm gonna be inspired by these old sounds, but I'm just gonna go for like something that's new, that's not really out there, even though it sounds like old and kind of gritty. It's new and gritty in a sense, if that makes any sense.
No, I appreciate that. And I always like the art form that is creating music. I mean, can you tell me like what was it like recording Bleed for This or the inspiration for writing it?
A lot
Something.
of the stuff, the whole song will just play in my head, and I'll
Okay.
like struggle to get it down fast. So a lot of our like music is like made really really fast, super super fast. So it's kind of like lightning in a bottle. I think of it like kind of like fishing. Like I've always said, like it's
Mhm.
kind of like you like sit there and then you like wait for it to kind of come, and then it just like kind of comes. But most of the time, like my hands will just start playing like the chords or like a riff or whatever, and it's like not really like I'll just start hearing words and melodies right off the bat. So kind of always like afraid sometimes to just even like noodle around with the guitar without having like you know Pro Tools or something opened up, because like I'm afraid that like I'm gonna do something that I think might be like releasable, and then it kind of gets lost to the wind. So
Yeah.
it's like a gift, but it's kind of like a almost like it kind of a curse, because I don't I like won't want to like I play guitar for fun a lot. So then sometimes I'll be afraid to play for fun, and then it ends up becoming work again, and I end up just recording like my whole noodling around, because there's like 4 or 5 good ideas there that all become songs. And then sometimes it's that way. Then I'm like kind of I like things to be recorded by an engineer. I can run Pro Tools and stuff, but I just prefer to not have to like press like the space bar myself or whatever to record. Which is like nothing bad with that, but I always think like I'm learning more and more, but it's always helpful to have like a professional there.
Speaking of professional, I mean, you got one of the most legendary drummers, in my opinion, Josh Freese, recorded on the album. I mean, I love him from his stint at Nine Inch Nails, of course, Vandals, and now he's in Foo Fighters. How'd you get him on board? How was it like working with him?
We were actually just together last night, like
Oh,
working on newer stuff. Which is I had the whole first project done like in like 7 days, and my engineer came to me and like he was like, "Oh, we got to get Josh Freese on this." I'm like, "Okay." I wasn't really like aware of him too much, to be honest.
mhm.
Like I said, I know like you know Charlie Watts, Keith Moon, John Bonham, like more like old, like I'm like listening to a lot of old music. So like so I wasn't really aware of him, but I became really aware of him after like the first session. And originally I was still in Atlanta, and my engineer was recording him in Los Angeles for the first session. And like I was like, is that like a take? Or you like is he playing that live? Because it sounded like he already had like selected parts for it and stuff off of just one take. And that's, I think, the great thing about using a drummer like that is you don't have to really comp parts. You don't have to do whatever. You can just like let him loose. Like you don't have to give him notes. Like last night, it was great doing new stuff with him because I'm just always ahead of the curve. I'm like, even though this album's coming out, there's so many more finished. I just like, I can't stop making music. It's kind of like, it's like a problem almost. I don't like, for me, because it's just like I don't know what else to do. So like,
Yeah.
just kind of like wait for the next thing. I don't really have any other hobbies or a social life or anything other than like making music. Like that's all I do.
That's a good problem to have. So, the album comes out May 16th. I love the artwork for the album and for the single. Who did the artwork for both of them?
Um, I don't know who did the artwork for the single. My manager would know.
Yeah.
And I wish I could give him like a shout out because I feel bad now. That I'm not aware of. And then the other one, I had a solo career, which is I think why my little thing pops up as like my solo artist name.
Yeah.
I don't even know how. Somebody must have made the Zoom for me, like long ago. So it like popped up like that, and we had shot that cover with a friend of mine to be my first. That was going to be the first cover of my original like first tape that I released as a solo artist. And for some reason it got shelved. We never used it. And I remember like obviously it's like edited to like be less risque, but like we wanted to do something that was kind of like artistic. So and then it just kind of fit with this title because I just feel like just with everything, like everything's like selling sex now, selling like this appeal, selling all that. And like the older and like fatter and less sexy I get, I feel like, you know, the more I like start to see it because I'm like, you know, it's just like, you know, it's just you start to get a little bit wiser to it. So I was like, oh, this would be kind of a great way to like poke fun at what's going on with this over sexualization of music, you know, which I think is kind of weird. They got like, you know, I don't want to say anything, but they just got like, even like there'll be a woman who's almost my age and they'll like trying to dress her up like she's 15 or something. And it's just like, it's kind of creepy, you know? It's like, it's just creepy. So I was like, all right, like, how can we, what's the best way? And my original idea for the cover was going to just be like, it wouldn't have really like drove that point in. So I was like, you know what? I have this cover from a while ago and all the women on the cover were posing nude, which was great. But then what I did, which was really great too, which also kind of made me a lot more comfortable being an artist. Because being an artist, you put yourself out there like every day, whether you're on social media or not really a social media person or not. Every day somebody's like perceiving you in some sort of way, right? So I posed nude myself because I was thinking like, if I'm gonna be able to be an artist, then I need to be able to be comfortable doing things that I'm not comfortable with usually. You know what I mean?
Comfortable in your own skin. Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I did that, because it's like I knew a lot of people wouldn't do that, and I'm like, well, if I can do that, then I'm not going to be afraid of being on stage in front of a bunch of people. I'm not going to be afraid of putting out a song that somebody would tell me, oh, don't put that out because it just sounds different or something. So it kind of caused me to like just get comfortable just with myself beyond like I think what most people are, which is like refreshing. So, and also I figured if they were gonna pose nude, I'm gonna pose nude because then that's like kind of fair. So it's just like it was just an old cover, and then a friend of mine, Nate Perry, I think was the guy. We got like a bunch of plants. I'm bad with names, but and it was just somebody like said that cover's like 5 or 6 years old, maybe 7 years old.
Oh wow.
8 years old. And then it just kind of translated to now. So we were just like, why not use it? We already had this, never used it. why not use it now? It like, and I always think like sometimes there'll be like a song that's older
Mm.
or anything, and then sometimes it will just like it will fit to now. Like, you know, like I always like think about like just like I've seen that with bands where like whether it's the Rolling Stones, like you know, they had songs that were from the early 70s that they didn't release to the 80s, you know, and it's like stuff like that. And it's just like, so I'm always thinking like sometimes there's something sitting there that you don't realize is it's gonna happen, but you don't know that it's gonna be valuable later on.
Mm.
So I don't think anything's ever really like a throwaway or anything like I was just talking last night with people and we were saying like we were talking about the Beatles and we're like, man, if you listen to the Beatles one's like album that they compiled, you'd be like, I don't know if I like the Beatles, but if you go and listen to all the deep tracks, you'll be like, this is the greatest band ever.
Yeah,
So it's kind of
absolutely.
like it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you listen to like what kind of was pushed and what was popular, like you kind of like are like, oh, but then you go into listen to like, you know, For No One, Happiness is a Warm Gun, all these like random obscure tracks, and you're like, oh wow, this is like, how did they even make this back then, you know? So
Absolutely. Well, I think it's very inspiring for other artists that might be watching this and that might be afraid to be in their own skin and be who they are. So I hope this inspires them to do that. So thank you for
yeah.
sharing. So before I let you go, anything else in the works? So like I said, the album drops out next month. Is there any music videos or any shows or anything like that?
We shot a music video. Wanted to I was kind of putting together this special show um here that I'm still kind of working out the kinks for because we were trying to do something kind of to pay homage to something that doesn't exist anymore, but I don't want to give too much details about it until like I don't want to jinx it before it happens, but
Oh no, I've
we
been
don't have
there.
too
You talk
too
about it and then
many.
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'd never talk about anything before it happens too
Yeah.
much. That's why, but like I would say a lot of new music to come out. There's a lot of like music already recorded and finished. I mean, like I said, I think like Josh was drumming on album like 5 or 6 last night. I've kind of lost count. So
Oh,
like
can't
to
wait to
think,
hear it.
yeah, yeah. So and like all different kind of um like I think this is just kind of like the shallow end of the pool. Like the next album is a lot more dynamic and it just gets more crazier than that as stuff goes on. So I mean, I hate to say that to say like, oh, this next album that's coming out isn't going to be as good as the next album after that, but that's the way I feel about it, and I feel like there's just a lot of good music to come out where people are going to be you know, you never know what a record's going to do, but I think people are at least going to look at this like, hey, this is very artistic, you know, like and also catchy at the same time. So I think like that's the
Absolutely.
one great thing about it, and it breaks a lot of molds where you know there's not necessarily like there's not every record really has like a defined hook or a defined, you know, whatever. So it's like kind of trying to break, just make music without this like formulaic like, okay, it's got to go into this, it's got to go into this like classic like hook, you know, verse, hook, verse, and then okay, a bridge, and then this. And I get that works for like writing number ones, but that's not like my goal is to like I hope to never have a number one because I just feel like that's like kind of like a curse because then you just have to play that song, you know, for the
Yeah.
rest of your life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, cool. I can't wait to hear the album. It's dropping out May 16th. In the meantime, everyone can check out Bleed for this. And I have all your social media links down below. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And let's talk down the road with future music. All right.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.